Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar about CV preparation, how to write a professional and effective CV. Tonight, we will hear from Ashley Poshard, who is a program relations specialist here at Practice Match. I look forward to introducing you to her in just a few moments, but please note tonight's presentation will be recorded. And while everyone is still logging on, I want to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Peyton Jennings, and I'm the Physician Engagement Coordinator here at Practice Match. Some of you attending might already know me because I work very closely with Practice Match's physician promoters. And before joining Practice Match, I had a couple internships, and one of them was actually for Ashley, who was a physician recruiter at the time. And in that role, I realized how much I love helping physicians through their training process and, making it as smoothly as it can be for them, just like Ashley did for me. So with Practice Match, I get to do that by helping physicians, residents, and fellows find their dream job throughout training. And hopefully, since you're here tonight, you kind of already know about Practice Match and all that we have to offer physicians. If not, I just want to highlight a few out of the resources that my team and I have available to you to make sure you get the most out of your experience. We have a free CV builder and free expert CV review. We have scholarships, virtual career fairs, monthly webinars, a free physician immigration handbook, a free physician practice path career guidebook, and much more. But I believe Ashley is actually going to be speaking on some of these topics tonight as well. And if you have any questions about any of the things I mentioned above, just reach out to me. And please note that microphones will be muted throughout the presentation tonight. We will have time for a Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions at all related to tonight's topic or anything else, just please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box below. So now that I've introduced myself and a little bit about us, let's learn more about CV preparation, and I'd like to introduce Ashley Poshard.
Thank you, Peyton. That was such a sweet introduction. Yes, as Peyton mentioned, I am the program relations specialist here at Practice Match, but she and I work together at our previous employer working with physicians. And just as she found her passion, I did as well. I definitely developed a passion for helping physicians in their journey from training to employment. And now we get to focus 100% on that. So we offer career guidance, mentorship to physicians, from medical school students preparing to apply for residency, all the way through helping residents and fellows find their dream job. So tonight we're going to talk about how to write a professional and effective CV. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off just so we can focus on the content. Peyton, it's up to you if you want to leave yours on or not. And as she said, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to use that chat box or the Q&A, and we'll monitor as we go, but definitely open up for questions at the end. So digging right in to your CV. First, let's differentiate the difference between a CV and a cover letter. So in your CV, you really want to focus on your training, your education, your licenses and certifications, your professional experiences, and your qualifications, the things that make you qualified for this job or any job that you apply for. You don't want to have to edit your CV every time you apply for a job. Your qualifications, for the most part, stay the same. You need to update those licenses and things every once in a while. And of course, if you have been published, you want to add that stuff. But for the most part, this is really your professional document that's covering your achievements. Your cover letter, should accompany a CV. I know when I was a recruiter, I loved to get a cover letter along with the CV to give me a little more insight to a candidate as a person. So this is where you want to express your interest, highlight your strengths, and tell a little bit about your professional goals or what makes you a good fit for that job. If you have ties to the geographic area that you're applying in, or if there's something special about that institution, your cover letter is where you want to express that. We do have resources available that go along with the cover letter on our website, but tonight we're really going to focus on the CV. So before you begin your CV, there are a couple things you want to think about. You're going to definitely need to go back over this all at the end to make sure all of your spacing is right, that everything looks good. But it's good to have a game plan before you really dig in. So the biggest thing is you want it to be professional and easy to read. Your CV is really not a place that you want to get too stylish. I've seen thousands of CVs while working with physicians, and really what's important to the recruiter is that they can find the information for very quickly. So that being said, you want to keep your font 10 to 12 point. You want it to be easy to read. So you want to stick with things like Arial, Calibri, Times New Roman, something that doesn't get too fancy. Using dark colors is always a good game plan. That way it's nice and easy to read on the paper or on the screen. And you really want to avoid overusing italics, underlines, and colors. I've seen some really stylish CVs where people have, a headshot and columns on the left and more information on the right. It really gets hard to read very fast. There are very specific things your recruiter is looking for, so try to just keep it simple. Another thing you want to think about is your organization and consistency throughout the document. So capitalization, are you going to capitalize your headers? Are you going to capitalize the first word, or are you going to capitalize the whole word? You want to keep that consistent through each header throughout the document. That way it looks nice and organized. Date formatting is another thing. There's not a right or wrong. It's consistency that's important. You do want to include the month and the year typically, but are you going to write out June, June? Are you going to use the first 3 letters? Are you going to type your years with 2 numbers or 4 numbers? 4 numbers is definitely preferred. But as far as the date, it doesn't really matter, like as far as the month, as long as you do it the same throughout. You want to look at your spacing. If you have 2 spaces between each section, you want to make sure that's consistent throughout your document. You also want to think about, are you doing bullets or sentences? So if you're doing bullets, you really shouldn't have periods. If you're doing sentences, you do want periods. Oftentimes I see bullets that are written as full sentences, and then there's a bunch of periods, and it just gets long and shouldn't really be bullet anymore. So you really just have to think about that and how you want to go about it. That way it all makes sense. And then another thing that comes up often is verb tense. So if you are using bullets under a job description, you really want to think about, does it sound like you currently work there or you were there? And you want to be very consistent throughout that. Next thing I want to talk about is the order of your headings. So the order of your headings is very important because of the way your CV is read by the institution. So you want to think about who's reading it, what are they looking for? So we'll dig into what should be included in each heading, but right now I just want to talk about who's reading it and what are they looking for. So the very first person that's going to see your CV is going to be the recruiter. The recruiter wants to know, can we credential you? Are you qualified for this job? That's the first thing they're looking for. So it's very important that it starts with a header, so we know who you are, how to contact you. But then the next thing we need to see is your postgraduate training, because they're going to need to know right away, did you do residency? Did you do a fellowship? After that, you would put your undergraduate education. Then comes your professional experience, then licenses and certifications. Quite often I see CVs where the physician has forgotten to include those. So very important that that's on there. So the things on the left is what your recruiter is looking for first. And then the stuff on the right gives them a little more information about what you're interested in, what you're passionate about. So they're going to look at your honors and awards, your professional memberships. And these are the things the other physicians are really going to be looking into as well, especially your research presentations and abstracts. They want to see, what are you passionate about? They'll kind of look at, what are you writing about a lot when you're being published. It gives them sort of insight into what you really like to do. And then languages and hobbies are optional, but they're valuable, and I'll tell you why shortly. Okay, so digging into the header, things to include. So the very first thing on your CV should be your full name and your degree, whether that is DO, MD, whatever degree you hold. And the next thing should be your full mailing address. So often I see physicians forget this, and it's so important because your CV is the main document that the organization is going to go back to over and over through the hiring process. So when it's time to send you a contract, they're going to be looking for the full mailing address because that needs to go on your contract. And if it's not here on your CV, then they have to email you. You guys are going to email back and forth. It's just time lost in the process. Same when it comes to credentialing, they're going to need this information for, multiple things that they have to fill out. So please put your full mailing address on your CV. Your phone number, of course, because you want them to be able to call you, and your email. One thing to point out, please only list emails and phone numbers that you want to be contacted on. I do recommend early in your training, setting up a recruitment email. I don't mean junk email, I mean a recruitment email that is solely for your job search. That gives you the power to be contacted the way that you want to be contacted. That way, if you're really not looking, okay, maybe you're not checking that as often, maybe just once a week. But if you're actively looking, you're looking at that once a day. Things that you should exclude from your header: birthday, social security number, your citizenship status. It actually doesn't need to go on your CV, but it is good to put that in the cover letter. Curriculum vitae, you don't need to put the word on the CV. It is universally understood that that's what it is. And headshot. I've seen a lot more headshots recently, in recent years, but there are some organizations that can't accept CVs if they have a headshot or any identifying information that could be used or considered a way to discriminate. So you want to be careful with that. All right, the next thing we're going to dig into is your postgraduate training and education. So these are the things that are very important that you have on your CV. You're going to want to list your postgraduate training in reverse chronological order, with your fellowship first if you did one, residency, any internships. For each of those things, you need to list the from and to, month and year in the format that I have put up there. Again, you can decide how you want to list your month, but the from and to both need to be included. Your specialty and program type. So internal medicine residency or family medicine residency is a good way to put it, but identifying, that as residency or fellowship is very helpful. Your program name and the city and state that you did your training in. The next thing you want to list is your medical school and undergrad education. And again, you're going to include your to and from, month and year, the degree that you obtained, the institution name, and the city and state. Sometimes I see people list high school. It's really not necessary to list anything before undergrad on your CV. And next we see professional experience. Again, you want to list it in reverse chronological order with the month and year, to and from, the title, the employer, and the city and state. In your professional experience, you want to list only medically related work history dating back to medical school. So your recruiter is going to be looking for, were there any gaps for more than 30 days since medical school? So if you had any gaps, or if you were working a non-medical job that explains a gap, then you would want to put it on there. But if there aren't, any gaps, just list from medical school on. And it's not necessary to list your residency and fellowship again in this heading because it was already listed in your postgraduate training. Licenses and certifications, super important. So here you want to list the states that you're licensed in, that you have been licensed in, or that you have applied for a license in. You're going to want to list the status of each license, whether it's active, pending, or expired. Med staff will be so thankful that you listed all of this when you go to, when they're working on getting you credentialed for the hospital. You'll want to list your expiration date. That way they can kind of help you through the process, remind you if there's anything that you need to update. And you'll list your DEA license if that's acceptable. You definitely don't want to put your DEA license number on there, just that you have one is great. For certifications, you're going to want to list your status. So are you board certified? Are you board eligible? Or are you waiting? If you're waiting, you'll want to list the date of your exam. You're going to want to list the exams that you've taken, the past ones, only the past ones with the dates that you took them, and the dates are important. So I know that some states require that you complete all of your exams within a certain amount of years for you to be eligible to be licensed in that state. So it's important that the institution you're applying with can see that so they know. And then you'll also want to list your current certifications, such as ACLS, ATLS, BCLS, or PALS with the issue date. Sorry, I was just checking chat there for a second. Okay, so the next thing you're going to want to list is your honors and awards. So you'll list any medically related honors and awards with the date that you received them, any professional memberships that you have. So as long as those are medically related organizations or societies, that is appropriate to list. And then any research presentations, abstracts, publications that you have. You're going to want to make sure you use appropriate format when you're citing your abstracts and publications. And then if there are numerous items making the CV too long, you really might want to look at, should you consider selecting only the ones that are most relevant to that opportunity, or, maybe mark multiple publications. Just be mindful of how long it's making your CV. And then additional tips. So you can list languages and hobbies if you'd like. As a recruiter, I loved it when I saw that on a CV. I think it gave not only me, but the other physicians working in the practice that I was recruiting for a little glimpse into what you like to do with your spare time. So, if I saw bicycling, I could highlight that, hey, we have a group of physicians that likes to go biking on the weekend, and, try to connect them with those people. So it's just very helpful. And then of course, languages is always helpful to know if you would be able to connect with, the patients in that way. You should always add a footer to your CV using your last name and the page number. And then another thing you're going to want to do is, once you have all of this listed out, is remember to review your document for your spelling errors, consistency, and all of those things that we talked about, right? The capital letters, the spacing, the alignment. So you'll want to go back through and give that another look over, change things if you need to, change the size, just make it, look professional and organized. You're also going to want to save your CV as a PDF. A good format to do that is last name, first name, specialty, CV. There's no real right or wrong, but it just makes it easier for your recruiter to find if they go back looking for you. And it also keeps your formatting. So if you save it as a PDF, then your format will stay the same if they're opening it in a different format than you used. Super helpful. So really that simplifies the process. That's exactly what should be involved. Hopefully, after seeing all of that, you feel comfortable with putting all of your stuff down in a document. But if you have any concerns at all, we are still here to help you. So we have a really cool CV builder tool that you can just plug the information in. And we also have free CV review. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up here to chat and enter the links for those things in the chat. That way you can use them if you would like. So there is the link for the CV Builder. And here is the free CV review link. And so Peyton does those CV reviews every week. So if you wanted to submit your CV there at that link, then she would see it and she would be able to help you with that and give you any tips that you need to make it, ready to send as you're ready to apply for your jobs. And then we also have a job board where you can search by specialty, location, and visa status. Goodness, there's even more. You can look for student loan assistance. Our job board is so helpful with helping you with your job search. And Rena, yep, I see your question. I'll pop back to that in just one moment. So in addition to that, we have a physician career guidebook. It walks you through the entire process of applying for a job, how to apply for a job, how to interview, how to prioritize your job search. It even has handy little handout pages that you can use to sort of rate your interviews as you go along, has information on contract negotiation, immigration, student loan planning, etc. That is downloadable on our website. It is free. Dominique, I apologize. Let me see if I can get them freshly for you. Actually, Peyton, while I am finishing this up, would you mind sharing the link to the CV Builder and the free CV review in there?
Yes, I sure can.
Thank you so much. We also have a free physician immigration handbook that's provided by Siskin Susser. We have career fairs every week. Residents and fellows can earn gift cards for attending those and connecting with recruiters. We have a physician promoter program where you can earn even more gift cards by inviting your colleagues to career fairs. So if you attend our career fairs, I definitely recommend reaching out to Peyton and getting information on the promoter program. It's an excellent way to make money while you're in training. We have the webinars. You're here now, so you know about those, but we have all kinds of topics, interview tips, contract negotiation, different types of recruiters, student loan assistance, immigration, all of the above. We have information on the job search from CV and interview preparation to accepting the job and more. And we also have a mobile app. All right, I can see Peyton's got that CV review link in there and she is working on getting the CV builder. Let me go on back to this CV versus cover letter slide for you. There you go, Rena. Hopefully you got that. If you didn't, please feel free to email me and I will get you another copy of it. All right, I want to go ahead and email the links out. We can do that. I'll tell you what, after this webinar, I will email everyone the links to the CV review and the CV builder. Does anyone have any other questions about any of the things that we talked about or their CV? Now is a great time to utilize the chat if you have any questions.
So Joan, we will have these, well, not these, we have every webinar that we have available after they're completed on our website. So you will have access to those.
Yep, and I will send the link where the webinar will be posted in that email as well. It won't be on there tonight, but it will be on there by tomorrow afternoon. All right, if anyone decides they do have questions, please feel free to jot down my email. It's apashard@practicematch.com, and it's been a pleasure speaking to all of you tonight. Thanks, Rose. Peyton, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you for your time, Ashley. And thank you everyone for attending. If you enjoyed this webinar tonight, we actually have more coming up. The next one is on July 12th, and that will be Introduction to Locum Tenens and how it works and why you should try it. So we hope to see you all there, and I hope you guys all have a good night.
Awesome. Good night, everyone.